The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. It is episode 15? Yes, I am one of your hosts, Bradley.
We're not prepared enough to even know what episode it is.
I know what it's 15.
Okay.
I'm one of your hosts, Bradley.
And I am the other host, Warren.
There we go. We got the introductions out of the way now.
Now he's going to drink some Dr. Pepper.
We were actually supposed to record yesterday.
Yes.
But then I canceled because of a social engagement that ended up not happening.
That's lovely.
But it's probably better that we didn't, because I was in such a horrible mood that it would have been an entire episode of me bitching about things and probably saying fuck a lot over and over and over again.
That sounds racist.
Our explicit rating on iTunes would have gone from explicit to
extra explicit.
Extra explicit. I don't know if I want to go through the entire sad day that I was having, because it actually sounds really stupid. It was just one of those times where, I've mentioned before how sometimes I'm amused by people and then other times I want to slap them all and just be in some sort of sensory deprivation chamber where nobody can talk to me. Actually, maybe here, just a second, we're going to get some music behind this story to make it more dramatic. Yes. That's much better. The depressing sounds of Albinoni's Adagio in the background will make a nice subtext to this story. I'd had a horrible week, working out in the cold and wet and rain and snow. So on Friday, I was looking forward to unwinding with my friends and having a couple of drinks. So I got dressed, got ready, put on a tie, a cardigan. I was looking nice. Went out and met a couple friends at a rock show. Had some drinks, met a girl. She was nice, and I was nice to her. We spoke for several minutes. But don't ruin the story. We spoke for several minutes, or 20 minutes to be exact. We talked about our love of dogs.
Don't look at me, I wasn't there.
Yeah, everyone likes dogs, though, so that's not even really that. Oh, you like dogs? I like dogs, too.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Yeah. Anyway, towards the end of the night, I asked her to go to another bar and have a drink with me. Mm-hmm. She said she would.
Ooh.
But then she never came.
She just left the bar you were at.
She never went to the bar that I was going to.
I mean, you left without her and went to that bar, and she never showed up?
Yes.
You should walk there with her.
I know.
Okay.
Anyway, this saddened me, so I went to Jack in the Box and got a sourdough jack and some bacon and cheddar potato wedges. Mm-hmm. I ate them and went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up feeling sad and angry. Not because of the girl specifically, but just life in general. I tried to make some coffee and burned my tongue when I took my first drink. And that made me sad as well. Then I went to the bagelry to get a bagel, and it was kind of stale tasting.
Oh, that's too bad.
And that made me angry.
Yeah.
I looked around, and there were people talking like parrots. I couldn't understand the words that were coming out of their mouths.
But you can understand parrots.
Well, if they're speaking English, I guess.
It should be a different bird than a parrot, maybe just like a songbird.
A magpie?
Yeah.
Okay. I looked around and saw people talking like magpies.
Better.
And I couldn't understand the words that were coming out of their mouths. I got in my car and was going to go to the grocery store. As I was trying to drive on the street, there was somebody stopped in front of me waiting for a parking space. The person was going to pull out of the parking space, but he didn't have quite enough room. But there was somebody parked right behind me, and I couldn't back up any further. So the person in front of me backed into my truck.
Oh, God.
It broke his right taillight.
Oh.
He got out of his car and yelled at me.
That doesn't seem fair.
Even though I could do nothing. I was angry because he was yelling at me. And perhaps I shouldn't say this because there could be legal ramifications, but I threatened his life. I did. There was a hammer in my truck, And I picked it up, and he was calling me a bitch and yelling about his broken taillight. And I said, if you don't shut the fuck up and get the fuck back in your fucking car and get the fuck out of here, I will kill you. And he believed me. And he got in his car and drove away. And I got the parking spot because he didn't take it.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So if the police hear this, or the person whose life I threatened, I'm lying, and this is not something that actually happened. Even though it is something that actually happened.
It would be weird if this person just happened to be a fan of the show.
Because it is illegal to threaten to kill somebody.
I don't think that was Bradley from the Warren and Bradley show who did that to me.
He probably thought of us as heroes, as people to look up to. Actually, if he's a listener to the show, I'd much rather him not listen to the show. He was wearing one of those baseball caps where the brim was perfectly straight across the front of his face.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing the kids do now.
Pulled down right to his eyebrows.
Yeah.
He was a douchebag.
Oh. Well, that's a bummer. I don't know what else to tell you.
I was so upset that I went home and masturbated and took a nap.
Oh, okay.
And that was pretty much my Saturday. Oh, and then I went out.
Yeah.
And no friends wanted to go out with me.
No, that's bad.
So I wandered around alone. Until I wandered into a bar and saw some friends who had not responded to my request to hang out. And they were all hanging out together, laughing, drinking.
Oh, no.
So I came there. I had one drink and then went home.
That's nice.
Because I wanted them to see that I wasn't happy. So if you sit there and say, nothing, they go, what's wrong, Brad? You go, nothing.
This is what happened?
No, not really. That was my weekend.
How about that?
How was yours?
Oh, it was fine. It was all right, you know.
Did you said you were going to be with the old family this weekend. How was that?
It was okay. I went and got some crepes. And I had a crepe that had like avocados and stuff in it.
That doesn't sound right.
Savory crepe.
Okay. Okay. So not like a breakfast.
There are breakfast crepes. There are savory crepes. There are sweet crepes. My sister got a sweet one. My brother got one that had like fish in it or something. We ate our crepes and it was fine.
This sounds all too sophisticated for me.
I don't mind a crepe, but I guess I'd rather just have a regular breakfast, I think.
So you're introducing your girlfriend to your family.
Yes.
How did that go?
Oh, fine.
There's no like slapping or shrieking or screaming or anything like that?
No. There was no drama.
Would your mom or family had thought anything different of her if she were like a whore? It probably just.
Well, I mean, like, if she, like I'd shown up with like a prostitute or something.
Who you'd hired off the street. Would they even notice or care?
Yes, they would. I assume something, and they would have been probably like more proactively like polite, like, "Oh, you seem," you know what I mean? Like over.
What do you do?
Oh, what do you do? Oh, look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really nice fishnet stockings you have on, and like that's a lot of blush. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was more just like a regular old crepe eating time.
And then you met her mother as well.
I did do that this evening.
That was a pleasant experience.
That was nice. Yes, I had shrimp basket.
Nice.
And I had
popcorn shrimp.
No, like prawns. I guess I had prawns, okay. Like fried or battered prawns.
Right.
And they were pretty good. And I had some tartar sauce, and the fries were delightful. And we had a good talk and sat there and
So this is a serious stage you're moving into now.
I guess. I don't know.
Meeting the parents.
Yeah. It wasn't like that movie, Meet the Parents, where Ben Stiller meets Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro doesn't like him.
Yes.
It was different than that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I was worried that I'd be like demeaned by this person.
Every time I've met any girls' parents, usually their mother loves me and the father is not very amused by me.
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't meet the father.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the mothers always are into me. She didn't seem crazy about me. She'd been fine. Like, I was just like some guy. I was like, yeah. The other thing is, I don't say a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing you can do, you can say things. You can say too much and look like an idiot. You're better off in those situations just kind of being like, oh yes, and being polite and stuff.
What were you wearing?
What I'm wearing now.
And you had your mustache, obviously.
I had my mustache. Yeah. Yeah, those are two things that were going on. I think it was fine.
All right.
I'm not worried about it.
That's good. You didn't hurt yourself anyway.
I assume I didn't. I don't think I did anything weird or anything or made any strange gestures or said anything inappropriate.
So if your girlfriend calls you up tomorrow and says that it's over, then it probably has nothing to do with you meeting her.
I would
mom.
assume it had nothing to do with this. I don't think that, like, I could have made such a bad impression on her mother that she would be like, that's it, you need to end this right now. But you never know.
See, I don't have to worry about these kinds of things, Warren.
Well, because no one loves you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it must be nice being you.
It's so stress-free. It's Celebrity Minute time.
Good.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
All right, our first story of the day. Rapper Young Buck was involved in a drive-by shooting.
That's not funny. It's very dangerous.
No.
Shootings are.
Yes, it is very dangerous. I didn't know who the fuck Young Buck was.
I had not heard of Young Buck either.
But we have since looked up one of his songs, I'm Ready Now, famous for that song. I'm sure some of you children who are into hip-hop
know
will
about
know.
it. We watched some of the video. There's like a fancy car, and he talks about like using marijuana and having money. So it's really a unique video and really interesting.
He's kind of gone in a whole different direction than most of hip-hop, I think. I mean, most of them are talking about social responsibility and more philosophical sort of broad ideas about the meaning of life and why humans are on this world.
Oh, it's very profound stuff.
He kind of went more towards like a materialistic, look at my chains, look at my money. He kept talking about paper, and I'm assuming paper is money.
I assume that's not paper that he writes.
No, I think so, because he kept rubbing his fingers together when he said paper. So I'm assuming that's money.
We watched this video. I don't know if this like makes us old men now, but it almost looks like a parody of a rap video from the 90s.
Yeah, it does.
There's nothing to it. It's just like him saying the same things that rappers have been saying for years, and with the same like things going on behind him like rapping at the camera, and then like them showing a car and him like in the car, and it rolls by, and then going back to him like rapping at the camera,
close up of the rims.
Yeah, and then talking about like drugs and like money.
The only thing
chains.
his video didn't have was a close up of a booty shaking,
yeah,
and
that
then
was
panning
missing
to him, and him going, yeah.
It's like high class for that reason. I don't know.
Oh, I hate rap.
But he wasn't injured.
Yes, good. Luckily,
fortunately,
Young Buck was not injured. A female
artist.
passenger was shot in the shoulder. Collateral damage.
What are you gonna do?
I'm assuming his whole his persona is that of a gangster, so you get what you
I think
ask for,
he's
basically.
probably like very happy that happened.
So we all wish Young Buck's female companion a speedy recovery. And don't get in his Lexus or his
don't ride with Young
Escalade
Buck.
next time. Next story here. Kirk Cameron appeared on the Piers Morgan show on CNN.
Okay.
Which is, I don't know why anyone watches that show. But as we all know, Kirk Cameron is a very, very devout Christian.
Yes.
And so Piers Morgan, of course, asked him about homosexuality because he was hoping for him to say something that people would go, oh my God, about. And of course, Cameron responded by saying that he thinks, let's see if we can get the actual quote here, he called homosexuality unnatural and declaring same-sex marriage detrimental. And now people are freaking out.
Okay. Why is this a news story?
I don't know.
We're talking to Kirk Cameron.
It's this manufactured outrage thing. Like, everyone knows that Kirk Cameron is not a fan of homosexuality. And so you get him. Why is anyone interviewing Kirk Cameron to begin with? Then you get him on a news show and ask him the question. You know what his response is going to be, and then you pretend that you're outraged after he gives the response.
It would be a news story if Kirk Cameron said that he thinks homosexuality is okay, right?
If he said that he were gay, that would be a news story.
That would be a huge news story. It's like having Jerry Falwell on and then having him say something like that and being like shocked.
Yeah.
That's Kirk Cameron's thing. There's no news there at all. He didn't even say anything like particularly like vulgar in any way. He just said what you would think he would say would be his like.
Well,
opinion.
when asked by Morgan what he'd say if one of his 6 children were to come out, 6 children, Cameron was not accepting. I wouldn't say, that's great, son, as long as you're happy. I'm going to say, there are all sorts of issues we need to wrestle through in our life. Just because you feel one way doesn't mean we should act on everything we feel. Piers Morgan has actually defended Cameron, not his views necessarily, but did say that it was brave for Cameron to express his opinion.
Yeah, that's not brave. That's just stupid.
Well, you know what? I find it very irritating that there is a certain right answer to all these questions now, and when we talk about a tolerant society, you have to be tolerant of gay people. Well, you should also be tolerant of Kirk Cameron.
Well, you should.
I don't agree with him, but
I don't agree with him either. But if he's got a gay kid and the kid's gonna get like.
Well,
run out of the house.
He'll send him to one of those Christian camps where they ungay you.
That'll fix him.
Which is always a great idea. You take a bunch of kids who are gay and put them in a camp together where they're sleeping in bunk beds. There's no temptation that's going to occur there. So basically, I think the idea of trying to ungay somebody is ridiculous, and I don't think it works usually. So.
No. It's not. It's just they're gay people. So if you're gay, just go date another gay person. It's fine. It's not like a problem. Yeah. It'd be a problem if you were the only gay person on Earth.
Yeah.
And everyone else was straight, and you're like, I can't find anyone to love. And then I would think you would need to get fixed in some way.
Yeah.
We try to do something that makes it better for you. But if there are other gay people, it's fine. It's the path of least resistance, really, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is, what this story says to me basically is that we just don't have anything better to do with our time. I mean, you get Kirk Cameron on a show, you interview him, you ask him about gay people, he says exactly what you think he's going to say, and then you get angry. It's just it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Next story.
Next story. Come on. Lindsay Lohan hosted Saturday Night Live and apparently did not do well. She thought she was great, though.
I bet she did.
I did not see the episode. I heard that she was kind of stilted and stumbled over lines and things like that. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
But apparently this is the first step in her big comeback.
Yeah.
She might be playing Elizabeth Taylor in a forthcoming biopic movie.
How can you get if you're going to make an expensive movie like that? How can you get insurance?
Well, that was the whole thing with her, is nobody would cast her in anything because of the insurance. And I guess now she is actually is completing all her community service and is really adhering to her court-ordered things for the first time, I think. So maybe she's turned over a new.
Yeah, I have my doubts.
Best of luck to you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Of course, we do prefer when she does things ridiculous, and then we can talk about it on the show.
Let's say if, like, in 30 years, she's, like, winning an Oscar because she's become Meryl Streep.
Then we can applaud her resolve.
Oh, it'd be shocking, though, wouldn't it?
She picked herself up by the bootstraps. And really
it would be absolutely shocking.
But I don't really see that happening.
No, it's probably not going to happen.
Next story. This is one that Warren likes, apparently. Pippa Middleton completes a 56-mile Swedish ski race. She's completed a 56-mile cross-country ski marathon in Sweden, taking a respectable 412th place in the women's category.
Oh, it's not bad.
So
completing that, I think, is a triumph in and of itself.
I guess.
The royal wedding last year, a few friends and I stayed up and we watched this. It's in the middle of the night.
I remember this.
On like a Thursday night.
To do this whatsoever.
It was horrible. The next day was awful.
Yeah.
No sleep that day. Pippa came out as the star of that entire ordeal. Someone was like, who is this lovely girl that's like with the wedding party? It's like, why doesn't she have a man? And now you go to the grocery store, you see the magazines, and they're like, Pippa can't hold down a man. Which is, I don't know if that's true or not, but I also don't think that just because 10 months after people saw you on TV and were like, that person should have a man, and you don't necessarily have a steady boyfriend or a husband, doesn't mean you can't hold down a man.
How come nobody says that about me?
I don't think anyone's ever said that you're like prime candidate either, though.
Why can't Brad hold down a woman? I just don't get it.
I don't understand. He's so beautiful.
Yeah. Jeez.
But, they always say this about Jennifer Aniston, too, though, right? She can't hold down a man.
Who's she with now? Nobody?
Some guy. I've seen him and stuff, but that'll break up. But I'm pretty sure Jennifer Aniston's just doing this because it keeps her in the news and keeps her relevant.
Maybe.
I'm sure if she wanted to, like, settle down with some dude, the dude would be with her.
Can you imagine being a celebrity, having all this scrutiny placed on you, And knowing that the more your life and personal business is invaded, the better it is for your career.
It's weird, isn't it?
And so you manufacture shit with your publicist. You go to certain clubs so they can photograph you there. You'll hang out with certain people at certain places so people will snap a picture. Like, it just seems like a horrible existence.
Oh, awful.
That's why Warren and I really keep a low profile.
We don't very low profile.
You know,
don't try to take pictures of us.
We don't go to Soho Club in LA and try to get photographed on the roof. Do
you want to live that way? How much money would you have to get to be the person that goes to clubs and tries to like have pictures taken of you?
That's why you never see Warren and I on the cover of Us Weekly, because we refuse to play the game.
How popular would this podcast have to get for that to happen?
I don't know if there's any people who are famous just for podcasting. I don't think that exists.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Well, this is interesting about like artistic forms, though, right? Mm-hmm. They never start out as what they end up being.
Yeah.
So eventually, like, podcasting could be like literature or great epic poetry.
Podcasting will be radio eventually, I think.
Well, it will be radio, but it can. In the past, novels were like published serially in magazines, right? And we're not treated as these epic, great works of art.
So you think that once we die, people will go back into the archives?
Well, maybe
go back
we're like podcasting. This is like the beginning of podcasting, and we're like the Homer of podcasting.
Yeah.
But eventually, podcasting will be so well respected and so important that like there'll be podcast awards that are like the Pulitzers of podcasting, and there'll be like the Nobel Prize for podcasting and stuff. You never know what's going to happen.
So our podcast will be handed down in an oral tradition for thousands of years, and then eventually there will be an opera based on episode 13 when CeeLo gets trapped in the ice flow.
The weird thing is, though, you like listen to old hip hop, let's say, and you're like, this is the listen to Boogie Down Productions or something. And it's really like very Spartan, you know what I mean, compared to what's going on now. I don't see where they could take podcasting that it could be like any more elaborate than what we have going on right now.
Yeah, we could buy some better microphones.
We could buy better microphones, but the content can't change that much, right?
Not really.
I guess the content could get a lot better than this, but
well, we could prepare a little more. Speaking of the podcast in general.
Oh, yeah.
Let's give out the website and email address
Do
again.
it. Was that just smoke?
No, I don't know what that was.
Okay, this reminds me of something, too. I have this problem with drinking water lately. And this is what happens to me. I'll take a drink of water and I'll start choking on it, right?
Yeah.
Lately, I've had that with like my saliva.
Just swallowing your own saliva makes you choke?
Too much of my own saliva, and then I'm like coughing.
Supposedly, even though it's not the smoke making me cough, it's because I smoke that my swallowing apparatus doesn't work as well as somebody else's or soming like that. I don't know. I dated a girl who was a speech language pathologist once, and she was always like telling me about the glottal and I don't know what the hell's going on there.
It's a bunch of hippie bullshit.
Anyway. This isn't going to work.
No. Go to www.warrenandbradley.com
for episode archives, for posts with pictures for each episode. Also, if you want to contact us, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com. I almost forgot.
He gave me this look like I was going to rescue him.
Or individually, you can write to Warren at warrenandbradley.com or Bradley at warrenandbradley.com. Also, our Facebook page, facebook.com/warrenandbradley. Like us on there. You get updates on new episodes, any exciting news that's going forward.
It's great.
And subscribe on iTunes, because then you can just automatically download the show whenever it's available.
Yeah, it's really better that way.
And write a review on iTunes.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I would.
You subscribe, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you get the new episodes?
I know. I'm always really excited. I'm like, what are they going to talk about this time?
Does it really download in your iTunes?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You weren't aware of this?
No, well, I was just thinking because you were, like, editing the episode, you'd already heard it, so I didn't even know if you bothered to subscribe.
Well, I rarely listen to it until it's all done and I've downloaded it on iTunes, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I hear little pieces of it as I'm editing it, but...
You don't give it, like, one listen through before you post it?
I skip through it to pick out things that I'll write in the description and like, photos that I might want to find, but it takes so fucking long to edit that then the last thing I want to do at the end is just listen to us blathering on over and over again.
I hear that. I'll tell you what's going on with me. I get a lot of emails from my alma mater asking for money.
Uh-huh.
I know I've mentioned in the past my Trelissa Butts issues.
Yes.
Because I'm getting Trelissa Butts calls this week. How come the alumni association at my college
Knows
can find
where you
me
are.
no matter where I am, I've never given them a cent, but they can't track down Trelissa Butts.
Who is looking for Trelissa Butts?
Creditors.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird, isn't it?
The thing that bugs me about the whole alumni association thing is that, let's say you go to Harvard Law and you get a position as a high-powered attorney, eventually make partner in some firm in New York, you're making millions of dollars a year, then I guess it makes sense to give a little back to your alma mater because they prepared you for the amazing career that you have now. When you go to Evergreen College...
No, but that's the other thing. You go to a public institution, too.
Yeah. That are publicly funded.
The publicly funded. My tax dollars are already being used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck off.
You don't have any money. You're not going to give any money back to your college.
I didn't even graduate from
You
my
didn't even
college.
graduate from your college.
I hated my college. Assholes. Yeah, I don't really get that. I guess maybe if you become super rich and you want to have an auditorium named after you.
Oh, that's good. You get a wing named after you. I've talked to people about this. Like, if you get super rich, and lots of people will have a museum built, like Getty, the Getty, or you have like a wing of a museum named after you. I always think, I'm like, oh, that'd be great. But the one thing I would do is I would found a college or university. You know what I mean? Warren Van College or Warren Van University. And then I'd endow great sports facilities. And then your name will be remembered forever.
That's true.
It would be great. And I could be the mascot and there'd be a big puffy version of me walking around, wearing the clothes I'm wearing now, leading cheers and stuff. And people cheering my name for 100 years in the future.
So I didn't know that you had such a desire for fame and for recognition.
For some reason, this is the thing I would like to linger on, would be this. You know what I mean? To have my name on somebody's jersey,
That's an interesting thought. What would you like to be remembered for? Because there's people throughout history who are infamous for things that they have done. There's people who are famous for great art that they've created, music, literature. There's other people who are famous politically. So what you would like to be famous for is higher education.
Well, the thing is, Leland Stanford, everyone knows his fucking name.
Yeah, they don't necessarily know.
They don't know anything.
Yeah.
But, there are other, rich people at that time that have died and passed away, and no one discusses them. The James Duke, Cornelius Vanderbilt, all these people, right?
Yeah.
They have these names attached, and they're going to be remembered for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I think it's the way to go.
But couldn't you also blow up a subway depot and
Well, I don't want to. Yeah.
So it's not just the
No, I don't want to be
recognition.
I don't want to be negative, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that positive. But I guess being associated with the university is kind of positive, right?
Who is? This is going to go nowhere because I can't remember the name of the person. But there was it the Acropolis or some amazing structure in ancient Greece where somebody burned it because he wanted his name to be remembered forever.
Be difficult to burn the Acropolis.
Well, it was a marble structure, but there's wooden support beams and stuff like that.
Oh, this is way back.
Way back.
Oh, I thought someone just recently.
No,
did
it
this.
was contemporary with when it was constructed.
Oh, okay. Then yeah.
If any of our listeners know this, write in at podcast@warrenandbradley.com. And he did burn it down, and so then they tried to strike his name from all the records because they didn't want him remembered forever.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yet we're talking about him now in 2012.
Yes, but
we don't know
I don't know his
name.
name, so there you go. But so if you were to create a university, Warren Van University,
Yeah.
then I would burn it down.
Would you really?
I guess I would probably
Why?
be dead by that point.
Yeah. The ladies swim team will be named the Bradleys. I know we talked about in the past me becoming Pope or being a member of Congress.
Yeah.
If the only thing I wanted to do was have people talking about me on podcasts or mention my name in 200 years, what's the most direct way to do that? Probably try to assassinate the president or
Yeah,
something,
it's
right?
usually something horrible and violent.
By the way, I'm not.
Oh, yeah, don't say
if the
that.
Secret Service is listening to this, I have absolutely no interest in assassinating anyone, much less the
Just
commander in chief. Okay, so yeah, but I'm just saying that
What's
we
your
know
address for?
Lee Harvey Oswald's name. We know who John Wilkes Booth is, and all they did was do this one thing.
It was a pretty big thing.
It was a big thing. It was a terrible thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yes.
Definitely terrible. But that's your move, right? Or you become like a serial killer, I guess.
Yeah. That's probably the easiest thing to do, because it's so much more difficult to create great art or to do something constructive. It's much easier to destroy something and be remembered. So if you're a serial killer, you just need a van and some prostitutes. Do you think you could kill somebody? Just no. Hear me out.
All right.
So let's say the people you care most about in the world. I'm not going to ask you who those people are.
Okay, good.
They were captured by terrorists of some sort.
Yeah.
They have them in a room somewhere. They've been sending you a video feed from a webcam where it shows them in this room with guns.
Yeah.
Trained upon them. And they say, you have to pick one person, one random person, and murder them, or else we will slaughter everyone you love. Would you do it?
I don't negotiate with terrorists.
So you just let them all be killed?
This is actually an interesting ethical question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Because it makes you think about it a little bit.
Do you value the people you love more? Is their life worth more than the random stranger, someone you may not know at all?
Well, this is the other thing. Even if it was 5 random people in this room and I had to go kill one person.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. If I was guaranteed that I was going to save their life, I would think I would have to kill the random person.
So it's a sense of proportion. 5 lives trumps 1 life.
The problem is, you can't negotiate with terrorists, though. You shouldn't negotiate with terrorists because it just gets them. They just keep coming back for more.
Okay, but what if these terrorists?
This is like a one-time.
This is a one-time
situation.
deal. Okay, so if you kill this one person, not only will they not kill the 5 people you love most, but they will also they will train the guns upon themselves and shoot themselves in the head as soon as you've killed this other person.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to do it.
Okay, so what would you do? How would you go about it?
Oh gosh.
How would you select the person?
This is when the people in DC are listening very carefully. I don't know. How much time do I have?
You've got 5 days.
I probably just go out at night, look for some drunk person, take him in an alley and kill him.
Just some random drunk person? Would you purposely target the homeless?
Oh, this is another interesting question, isn't it?
Whose life is worth more? Not only whose life is worth more in comparison to the people you're trying to save versus the person you're killing, but by just picking the person you're killing, you're making a moral judgment as well.
This is true. Here we go. How about this? What if I go, okay, terrorists, you've told me the rules. Mm-hmm. I go to a nursing home, a hospice. Uh-huh. And I smother someone who's going to die in a couple days anyways. What do you think about that?
That's a good choice.
That's the best choice ever.
Or you could seek out, go creep around at night, look for people committing violent acts or criminal acts, and then target one of the criminals as well. We've
heard about these people who are dressing up like superheroes and trying to stop crime. I've walked around a lot in my life. I'm getting older now. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of.
We don't live in New York City or Gotham City or.
We have a higher crime rate than New York City. We do.
I guess per capita, yeah.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't see all this crime happening. No. I feel like I could walk around a lot and never see like a violent crime occur.
Well, that's 'cause in all the superhero movies, it's a bunch of white dudes in beanies, and an old woman will be walking down the street, and they'll be like, "Come on, old woman," and they take her purse and like beat her down to the ground, and then Batman comes and slaps them around. People usually don't just in the middle of the street accost people.
But just think about like how many crimes happen here. The crimes happen here. But the chance that you're going to be walking around that day and happen to be on the right street when this violent crime occurs...
You've got to stand on top of a tall building and like, survey the city and look for something going on.
The other thing about that, if it was that easy to find, like, violent crime or criminals, shouldn't the police just be doing that?
Well, I think what a lot of superheroes do is they have a police scanner. And so then they hear that a crime is in progress, but they always beat the police to it. And by the time the cops get there, the criminals are wrapped up in a batarang.
I would think the police should like be able to handle those things quicker.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, are you really stopping a crime at that point? You're just getting there before the police and beating them to doing what they were going to do anyways.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, you're not stopping the crime. You're just punishing the criminals.
No. But I think if I saw a crime occurring, I assume I would, like, intervene.
Really?
Well, there's that famous story from New York years and years and years ago where someone was like murdered out in the street and everyone was like looking down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I I feel like if someone was being like murdered in the street or beaten somewhere, I feel like I would intervene. But I've never actually seen it happen in front of me.
I think I would intervene as well. I don't know what I'd be able to do. It would depend on the circumstances. But we've gotten away from our main issue here.
Oh, okay.
So you've selected the old person.
Yeah, I'm going to smother this person.
You're going to smother them with the pillow. So that's the method you would use to kill them. What if you were you found some old person, they have liver failure, their heart disease, cancer, they're going to go soon. They're in horrible pain. You're standing over them in their Craftmatic bed with a pillow poised, about ready to smother them.
Yeah.
And they wake up and see you standing over them like the Grim Reaper over their bed, and they go, "What are you doing? What's going on? Who are you?" Do you still go through with it?
Yeah.
Shut up, old man. And just put the pillow over their face?
I'm going to kill this person anyways. I'm killing this old person. And the fact that they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, well, now you've got me thinking.
But looking
I'll
into
let
their
my
eyes
family be killed now.
and seeing their humanity. It's one thing if they're just unconscious, you know.
Well, yeah, I know. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not like I'm going in there blithely, like, killing this person. Like, oh, wasn't this a jolly time? I mean, I understand it's a very dramatic moment when I put that pillow over the person's face. But the fact that they, like, look at me, I'm not going to be like, yeah, I've changed my mind. I'll go kill a healthy child now because this old person looked at me. You know what I mean? I have to do it. That's the whole point of the situation. I could do it.
What if a single tear?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Well, I remember I used to watch 24.
Yeah.
I would go and just watch a bunch of 24s in a row.
You made a lot of hard choices on that episode.
Oh, that show's terrible. That's a poorly written show. I remember at one point, Jack Bauer was in the situation where he needed some information from somebody. Mm-hmm. So they're like, Jack Bauer is, of course, he gets these hypotheticals where he's like, has to use torture or else everyone's screwed, which doesn't actually occur in real life, which is why you shouldn't torture people. But they're like, how will we get him to talk? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, the only thing we can do is like kill his family or show him that we're going to kill his family. So he goes to wherever the family is and they're all lined up and they're like, tell us. And he's got like guns to all their heads. And then he like shoots one of them. Really? And it's like on video. Yeah. And the guy's like, oh my God. And he talks. Yeah. But really all he did was set it up. So it was fake. Like he actually shot the family members, but actually didn't kill them. It was just like this like setup on the screen.
Wow.
Yeah. It was pretty great. The weird thing about that show is that it seems to be like justification for torture every season.
Yeah.
It comes up with these incredibly convoluted scenarios that, of course, if that actually occurred, I would be all for torture too. There isn't a situation where like Los Angeles is going to be exploded or going to be destroyed. Exploded. Los Angeles is going to be destroyed by a weapon, right? Unless I torture this like Arab man.
Yeah.
If that situation were true, go ahead and torture the Arab man.
Yeah.
The problem is there are no situations. It's like your hypothetical, right? It doesn't actually occur in real life.
Oh, it might.
If it does,
you'll know who's responsible. If it
does, right? If I'm Jack Bauer in this situation, and they're like, you can save 20 million people by torturing this Arab man, but they're like, there's a law against it. I would just torture him anyways.
Yeah, obviously.
Right? The problem with torture is if you go back and look over thousands of years, like you're talking about context and history, all the torture that's gone on has not been done for a good reason.
Usually torture is just done for the hell of it.
It's the Inquisition. Yeah. They're just ridiculous.
We're punishing you for...
So that's why if you're looking at things with any sort of context, you realize, I just shouldn't torture anybody.
Yeah.
If you got somebody, question them, throw them in a cell or whatever, but there's no reason to torture.
Well, I like all the weird, creepy methods of interrogation that they use that aren't technically torture, but would still drive me fucking insane. I don't know. I always like to think that I wouldn't break under torture.
Oh, but you would. I feel like I'd break pretty fast.
It would depend. If I were a terrorist... I could easily make a decision to save myself as opposed to the group, depending on what that group was and what we were fighting for, I guess. But
I don't know if anyone, it's really hard to, I think, hold up, right?
Well, you know that as a child, I used to torture myself.
What, to prepare yourself for that situation?
Just to inure myself to pain, because I thought that was an important quality to have, to be able to withstand pain.
Huh.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, what would you do to yourself?
All sorts of things. I would punch things really hard. I had this weird clamp thing that I would put on my thumb, like thumb screws.
Yeah.
And I would see how many turns I could do before I just freaked out and couldn't do it anymore. And I'd get more and more. And then finally it punctured through my thumb.
Really?
I was bleeding.
That's unhealthy.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
It's really weird that a child would do that.
Yeah. But pretty good pain threshold now. I always have, every girl I've ever dated, Or, actually, this could be a great That's How Women Are segment. And I even made bumper music for it, so just a second. Hold on. Aha. Bam.
They say things that don't make any sense, and then they do things that make even less sense than the things they said that didn't make any sense. Oh, they want you to buy them fancy jewels, but when you give it to them, they say you're a fool. Whoa, 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 whoa. 'Cause that's how women are. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how women are. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
This is something weird about women. Maybe you had the same experience.
Something.
But they're always like, every girl I've ever dated has done the thing where they grab my arm and go, "Ugh," and like squeeze it.
Yeah.
Like expecting some sort of reaction from me. And they're doing it in a playful way. It's not like they're trying to like, listen, man, and like taking my arm. But they're like, "Ugh," squeezing it as hard as they can. And I'm just like, okay. And they're like, like it doesn't hurt, like, oh! And then occasionally they'll even, I had one girl like take her fingernails and go and like dig into my arm, and of course I'm not going to show any discomfort because my girlfriend is squeezing my arm. So she finally got to the point where she broke the skin with her fingernails and it started bleeding, and she went, "Ow!" It's like, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you say it hurt? But then, and then they want you to do it to them, so then you just like barely go, "Ugh," and they go, "Ow!" And that's the end of it.
A lot of your stories end up with you like throwing a woman against a wall, or, like, squeezing her arm painfully. Oh, she started it.
But
Tell
why?
the police.
Have you ever experienced this? Like, what is this thing in women where they want to squeeze arms and elicit some sort of pain response?
I'm trying to think of a scenario that's ever actually happened to me.
Maybe it's because I'm skinny and they think that I'm weak or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you've run into the situation before, right? Where like a woman's like, "Oh, you know, you probably weigh less than me."
No, I know.
And you're like, "No, I don't."
I know. And I'm stronger than you are. No, you're not.
Yeah, it's just it's a mental thing. Sometimes.
They always do that thing too with me, where they're like, "I bet you could fit into my pants." I'm like, I don't think so. They're like, yeah, you could. No, I'm a thin man and you're a thin woman.
Yeah,
and there's a difference between that.
Yeah.
I'm also 6'2" and weigh like 170 pounds, and you weigh 110 pounds. Like, I'm not going to fit in your pants. So then I don't know how many fucking pairs of pants I've had to try to put on, and I've gotten to like my mid-thigh. I'm like, they don't fit. Or shirts. I'm like, ugh, bulging out of these little shirts that they make me try to put on. I don't know. It's strange.
And that's how women are.
Yeah, you know women, they've been on this earth for 200,000 years. And in that time they've caused men 200,000 tears. Yeah, they like to put pretty purple panties on, and then they turn around and tell you that every little bit of thing you've ever done is always wrong. Well, they like to cry when they stub their little toe, but no, they don't cry when they tell you to go. No, yeah, that's how women are. Yeah, I'm talking about how women are. Whoa, women are. Yeah, women
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.